Sometimes somebody walks into a room and instantly commands attention. And today's guest is definitely one of those women. She left me with a lasting impression. Dani Wallace is the founder of I Am the Queen Bee movement, and she is now turning her life experiences into some real positives by her public speaking events, coaching, mentoring, helps lots of business women, and has a real story to tell. She's also got an amazing singing voice and packs a punch, which really does match her personality. So be prepared to be blown away by Dani Wallace today. Hello, Dani. Morning.
Hiya, good morning, Rachel. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you doing in lockdown?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm glad to have a little bit of a break and come and sit down and have a chat to you.
Well, yeah, you have been making the most of your time. I've got so many things I want to talk to you about because you've been so busy during lockdown. But
I've been a busy bee.
anyone doesn't know you, how would you describe yourself?
So for those of us that haven't met before, my name's Dani Wallace and I am the Queen Bee, which is a pretty bold statement to make, I'm quite aware, but I'm the fearless leader of the I Am the Queen Bee movement over on Facebook. And also I'm a public speaking coach. So I work particularly with women, although I do work with men and other genders too. I help them articulate their business and mission message so that they can reach more people and earn more money and, grow their businesses. So I'm really lucky I get to do what I do.
And where did the inspiration come from? Because it's a fabulous name and it does suit you perfectly.
Well, it does sound, it does, but it sounds like it's a cool thing to say when I introduce myself, and I don't want anybody to get me wrong. So it's less about a statement about me and more of a reclamation for the people that join the movement to step up into their own power, whatever that means. That sounds quite glib, doesn't it? But if you think, the Queen was born the Queen, and the Queen didn't get a say in it, just like I was born where I was born and I didn't get a say in it. So I Am the Queen Bee really is about reclaiming your birthright to success, whatever that looks like. And bees, just so it happens, do some really incredible things that I'm sure we'll talk about over the course of this interview that just speak beautifully to like different business analogies and personal development analogies. So it rocks out, really works well for me. So yeah, I am the Queen Bee. It's not just about me though.
When I first met you this year, gosh, this year's just flown by, with the official capsule with Natalie Anderson, and I saw you speaking, and you are a force to be reckoned with. You're a brilliant public speaker. But where's all this come from? What's your journey to get to this point been like?
So in a nutshell, so I grew up on the council estates of Preston. Well, no, I didn't grow up in the council estates. Like I was in a house. I didn't just grow up on the streets. My family inherently and generationally were poor, and I've got to use my words carefully when I say that because my mum gets dead upset. We weren't destitute, and she always tried really hard to, we were always well turned out, we were always clean, we were always fed, but we couldn't do those nice things that the other families did, go on holidays and all that sort of stuff, like up abroad, and we didn't have the latest clothes or all that sort of stuff. But what happened is because generationally our community wasn't affluent in inverted commas, and what we saw growing up was a lot of domestic violence, generational domestic violence. My dad, he was an alcoholic, and although a functioning alcoholic, so to the outside world, we were this like kind of perfect nuclear family, me and my sister, my mum, my dad. But behind closed doors, it was really quite a difficult way to grow up. So I escaped when I was sort of 17, 18, because I was really blessed. I found out I could sing. So I was never going to be able to afford to go traveling. So I thought, well, being tenacious, the next best way I'm going to be able to travel is to get paid to travel. So I would audition and go singing all over the world. I worked in some fantastic places. But there was always the whisper, and I know you'll have got this in your career about coming back and getting a proper job. When are you going to come and get a proper job?
Yeah. You have your fun now. It's time to get on with some decent work.
Right? So with that in mind, I could see that I wasn't putting down any roots anywhere. And really I did crave the stability that, that I didn't maybe necessarily have when I was growing up. So I moved back to the UK, got a house, had a baby, not on my own, I had a partner. And whilst that stability and that kind of family was what I was trying to create, it wasn't what my partner at the time wanted. So 2 weeks after, which was really, well thought out of him. 2 weeks after we sent out the invites to our wedding that was happening a couple of months later, he decided that it wasn't what he wanted, and he just left. So I was on my own with the house, the baby, the cancelling the wedding. And you can imagine it left me feeling quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
So in that vulnerable position, both from my mental health point of view and my mental health wasn't great anyway, because of all of this baggage that I was carrying from all of those years, it left me feeling quite vulnerable. I quite quickly got into a relationship with somebody, and very, very quickly that relationship turned sour in terms of I found myself to be a victim of domestic abuse, coercive control, domestic violence ultimately in the end. So I managed to escape that for myself and for him, because we were just driving each other crazy, because that's how the situation makes you. And then I was on my own with 2 kids under 4 at the start of what was a hellish recession for the UK, sort of around 2008, well, between 2008 and 2010. So we ended up having to lose, and I lost the house that I was living in. So we became homeless. And we were sofa surfing between family and friends. I was very lucky to have the network that I had at the time. And I was tucking my kids into bed one night, and I just thought, God, Dani, you're incapable of making a sound decision. Like, when was the last time you made a great decision? I had a great job. I was working for some fabulous global companies as a trainer. I was training people to present. I was training people to lead teams, and I was training people to recruit. And it was a brilliant job. But underneath it all, my personal life was a shambles. And I didn't know that night whether I was kissing my kids goodbye or goodnight, whether I was going to have to, I just didn't see a way out for myself. And it was in that moment I had to realize that either I was going to start happening to life, or life was just going to continue to happen to me. So I got myself sorted. So I started working for myself. I started singing full time. My husband's lovely now, a very supportive husband now, who just goes along with my harebrained ideas. He's just incredible. We've got a house now. The kids are happy. I've had another daughter since. So I've got my flowers, poppy, daisy and ivy. Well, ivy's like my foliage to finish my bouquet off. And I had this whole skill set that I wasn't using for, helping people to share their message, helping people to grow their businesses. And, I had a lot of knowledge around that. So we were watching the film, have you heard the film Bee Movie?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So there's a quote in the Bee Movie. It goes, aerodynamically, bees should not be able to fly. Their short wings should not get their fat little bodies off the ground. And the bees, however, don't care what humans think is impossible, and they fly anyway. And I was like clutching my pearls. I was like, this is the one. This is exactly what it is that I want to do. So it was in that moment that the I Am the Queen Bee movement was born. And it's just grown ever since. It's just been incredible.
So what services do you supply to women? Well, not just women, but what services do you supply?
So essentially, the main bit and the main bulk of my work is that I'm a public speaking coach. So I help people who want to become more visible, who want to reach more people with the things that they do, their products or their services. I help them speak about them in a really compelling way. So they come to me and I'll talk them through different strategies. I help them with their confidence, because as well, like standing on stage or anywhere, like online now, lots of people are now speaking online, doing podcasts like we're doing today. And that's quite daunting, because what you're doing when you're speaking is you're positioning yourself as alpha or an expert in your field, which is really quite daunting. So the majority of the work that I do, the paid work that I do, is around helping people speak, helping people articulate what it is that they do, why it is that they do it, and how they can help other people.
Now, how did you get back that confidence? Because you must have had it completely knocked out of you going through some of those experiences. How did you get yourself back? What tools did you use to get to where you are now?
It's interesting, especially when you're a performer, how confidence works. So lots of people say to me, and I've said, oh, Dani, you're so confident. I wish I had your confidence. But actually, my confidence for a time was a suit of armor that I put on so that I didn't have to share the bits of myself that I didn't want to share. So, being a natural extrovert and a bit of a tigger and bounding around the place was really just a ruse for how I was feeling on the inside, which was, I was a mess. So I hadn't done any of the work on myself. I was constantly questioning myself. And the work that I had to do was was a lot of self-acceptance work around, you know, I am okay as I am now, and this confidence that I have now is a much calmer and more still confidence, where I'm accepting
Yeah.
of my expertise, I'm accepting of my knowledge, I'm accepting of what I look like, I'm accepting of the fact that people won't, you know, maybe necessarily like what it is that I say or how I say it. But in that acceptance grows the type of confidence that is much more true and much less easy to hide behind, if you will, because the suit of armor confidence, the sort of Dani Wallace hat that I would put on, it I had to deflate, that I had to decompress somewhere, and that would decompress at home. And I would exhaust myself and be so tired and be on show all the time. Whereas now, with the work that I do, because it's so heart driven, because it comes from this natural place of still, quiet, compelled, you know, acceptance space of confidence, it's much easier to deliver more consistently.
Yeah. I think that's the key thing. I think that word acceptance is such a powerful word, and it's so true. When you see so many people on Instagram saying, you know, they're body confident, but actually it's not, for me, it's not about that. It's about being accepting who I am and where I am at right now, and that's good enough.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I know we've had a conversation about this before, where we are expected, particularly as women, to be in a state of transition all the time. So to be in a state of getting better or looking better or being slimmer, losing weight, or, you know, or having work done, or, you know, in this constant state of transition, this the concept that we are not okay as we are now, one way, shape, or another. And then when you actually realize that tomorrow never comes, and that transition is something that you have to do right now, then you have to accept where you are right now. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. You can't hate yourself to being a better person. You can't hate yourself slim, hate yourself pretty, hate yourself, I don't know, popular, which is
Well, I said at the beginning, you've been somebody that I've been watching who has been really, you seem to have upped it a level for lockdown. So you started doing these morning shows. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear them all like just directly outside my bedroom door right now. So at the beginning of lockdown, I knew that there was going to be a very real risk that I might not get up as early as I might in the morning had it been a normal work day. So what I did is I decided to become accountable, and I started going live every morning at 8 o'clock, Monday to Friday, in my community, the IATQB Hive. And that kind of grew. So I was just putting my makeup on in the morning, getting ready for the work day. And then I started to say, oh, okay, it's getting a bit boring, this. We want people to come and like share their experiences, come and get ready with us in the morning. And so they did. So now it's grown into this on the Queen Bee Dani page on Facebook. We've got like celebrities, we've got dog trainers, we've got international business coaches, multimillionaires, people just starting out in business, all coming along and coming to be interviewed with me in the morning, getting ready. And the show at Rise Up show has just become brilliant. I was never expecting it to become a thing.
So you're going to carry it on after lockdown?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's just kind of become its thing. It's interesting. One of the things that I've always wanted to do is be on the telly, and I'm a very firm believer in, if you're not being invited to the table, then you make the table yourself. Yeah. So this is kind of a little bit of me making the table. You know, sure is certain hope. Like, if no one's going to put me on the telly, then I'm going to do it myself.
You never know what's happening in the future, Dani, as well. So
fingers crossed.
But this has also grown into something that you're really passionate about that's going to happen on the 5th of June. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, do you know what? I don't know. I've kept myself into some scrapes, Rachel. So, like, in terms of comfort zones, I always try and stretch mine a little bit. And I can never allow myself to be bored or too comfortable for too long. And I was sat here at the beginning of lockdown as a survivor myself. I just knew as soon as lockdown got announced, I knew that there were going to be so many people out there that were going to find themselves in a position where they are, you know, they're a victim of domestic violence, or they're experiencing domestic abuse. and they weren't going to be able to go anywhere. And as soon as I saw the reports coming in, calls to the National Domestic Violence Helpline has gone up 700% since the start of lockdown, which is just shocking. There was no way that I was going to be able to, for very much longer, sit here in my ivory tower with this lovely little life that I've got and not do anything. So I thought, right, okay, so I've been doing this show for a little bit now, 10 weeks. I've got the knack of interviewing people. I'm pretty good at that now. Why don't I interview some celebrities? So what I've done is created the Big Festoon. So I want to raise it. So we're partnering with Women's Aid and Gallup, which is the LGBTQ initiative, because domestic violence, domestic abuse is not gendered at all. It happens to men, women, non-binary people, trans people, everybody. There is nobody that's untouched by domestic abuse in terms of gender. So I'm interviewing 12 celebrities, 12 global entrepreneurs over 12 hours on the 5th of June on the Queen Bee Dani page as part of the Big Festoon. So festooning is what bees do when they're building something new. They link arms and they show the other bees where to build to. So I thought it would make quite for an apt name for the day.
And how can people find out about that?
So they can sign up for updates on iamthequeenbee.co.uk/the Big Festoon. You can go there and go and check out the lineup. The lineup is honestly, I've got to keep my head down working on it, because if I look up, it gets too big and I get overwhelmed. So we've got support from Jenny Powell. We've got support from Callum Best, the UK's #1 motivational business speaker, Brad Burton. We've got Dan Meredith, who wrote the book How to Be, we can swear, can't we? Fucking awesome. How to Fucking Awesome. Who else have we got? We've got Alice Living, who does the workouts over on Instagram. She's incredible. We've got Toby Alexander Smith, who plays a perpetrator on EastEnders at the moment, who Women's Aid are consulting with EastEnders at the moment for that storyline. And we've got we were so blessed to have Toby on the show. He's going to be on the show on the day, so we can talk to him about that. Because I think it's an interesting insight to have. He's had to do really extensive research to be able to play such a character. We've got incredible, like, international entrepreneurs from across the pond. We've got image consultant and transformational coach Carla Ballu is going to be joining us. We've got Elaine Lucatis. We've just got some phenomenal people on the day.
And I did see you shared on one of your social media posts that your PR lady had surprised you with a really special endorsement by the one and only Macy Gray. How did that make you feel?
Oh man, I had no idea this was coming. She messaged me in the morning. She said, I need you to get on a call. And I was like, right, okay. And then when she sent me the link, it was a StreamYard link, which is a video broadcast link. You can record. It's like Zoom, but you can make it look like a telestudio. It's what I use for my show. So I clicked on the link and went on the Joe's there. I'm working with Joe Swan from Chocolate PR on the event. And she goes, got a surprise for you, Dani. I was like, why aren't we on Zoom? And she said, well, I've got something to show you. It's the only way I could show you. And she'd only managed to get Macy Gray to give us like a message of support for the Big Festoon. Now, I've been a huge fan, like I'm grinning so much like talking about this. Now, I've been a huge fan of Macy Gray for years. Like, her music is just phenomenal. You know, from the era of I Try and Caligula, like all the way to now, and like she's setting up like a hair and beauty salon over in LA at the moment. Like, she's doing all amazing things. She has like a happy hour on Instagram through lockdown. So to hear her like endorsing what we were doing and like shouting me out, she's like the Queen Bee Dani, and I was like, oh my god, Macy Gray just said my name. And I was like crying on these, like, she recorded it, of course she did, the cow bag. She recorded it, and I'm like just crying my eyes out watching Macy Gray give us a shout out. I just couldn't believe it.
But that's just another endorsement of you, Dani, as well, and all the work, all the great stuff that you're doing. And also, it just shows you how far you've come, doesn't it, personally?
Yeah, I can't. I constantly look over my shoulder thinking, like, what is going on? And, you know, people say to me, oh, Dani, you're so lucky. You're really lucky, Dani. Aren't you dead lucky? And I'm like, no,
No.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I've worked really hard and I've had a lot of setbacks and a lot of failure to get to where I am. What you're seeing now is the tip of an iceberg of years and years and years of getting to know myself and understanding myself and, working out what is my message? What is my legacy? What do I want to help people with?
Mm.
And it's hearing a lot of no for a lot of years and a lot of trauma for a lot of years to get to this good bit. So I'm thinking, right, allow yourself it now then, Dani, if that's all the things that you have to get through to get it. You're basking it
Yeah,
a little bit now, babes.
yeah, definitely. I mean, what tips or what advice could you give to somebody that's right at the beginning of their journey? How do they get started to start where they want, to get to where they want to be?
First of all, start imperfectly. Stop waiting.
Mm.
Because if you nobody's ready to do anything. Nobody's ready to start a business. Nobody's ready to have a baby. Nobody's ready to get married. No one's ready to do anything that's going to change your life. Nobody. So if you break it down, you look at this big change, or look at this thing that you want to achieve like a mountain, well, you're not going to just sit there and think about it and all of a sudden you're going to be at the top of that mountain. You've got to take steps. So this is a training I heard from Tony Robbins years ago. And he was like, if you go to bed at the end of every day, having taken at least half a step forward, you have taken half a step forward.
Mm.
So if that is a phone call, to connect with somebody that's going to help you, if that's you're going to write down your plan, your tick list of what you're going to create the next day, that is still something that you hadn't done at the beginning of the day. You can go to bed at night safe in the knowledge. There's a lot of pressure on ourselves, like right now. So at the time we're in week 10, at the time we're recording this, week 10 of lockdown.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, you've got to learn a skill, you've got to learn a language, you've got to pivot your business, you've got to do all these things right now. And there's a lot of pressure to do that. And I think that actually taking the littlest step and then taking the next littlest step will create a whole series of very small steps that are going to get you to where you're going. And, not taking the worst thing you can do is not put your foot forward, because then you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Is there a common theme with the women that come to you about how they're feeling about themselves and what they feel stopping them taking that next step?
Yeah, I think we're being given the language now more so than ever around things like imposter syndrome. Like, it's not something that really we talked about, in the 80s and the 90s, but now, like, we have the language around imposter syndrome and what that looks like. So I get a lot of people come to me saying, who am I to be trying to position myself as an expert in my field? Who am I to be popping my head above the parapet and saying, actually, you guys want to listen to me because I know something? There's like this ego that comes with it, or perceived ego that comes with it, that is deemed unattractive to themselves, when actually, if you don't do it, you are not sharing a gift that you've got.
Mm.
So I've told this story a couple of times. I was on The Voice, but I wasn't on The Voice in 2015. So I was scouted, I'd gone through the audition process, I was up and down to London, and we got to the day of filming. It was actually the last day of filming. And what they don't tell you is that even when they filled up all the spots, you still get to sing for the coaches. So as I walk in there, I didn't know, but already I wasn't going anywhere. They wasn't going to show me. So I sang my song and I did all right. And the coaches turned around at the end to give their feedback, and then said, like, actually, no, we can't turn around. So it's a no. So I'm stoically crying, thinking, this is it. This is my big shot, done and dusted. And Will I Am, which is it's a name and a half. I'll just leave that name there, shall I? Will I Am turned around to me and he said, Dani, what are you crying for? And I said, well, I feel like this is it. This is my shot. It's gone. It's done. I'm look at me. I'm, an overweight 30-something-year-old who can sing okay. How am I gonna get the visibility now? And he was like, you can sing. You can sing. Just because we haven't turned around today does not mean that you can't sing. It means 4 people out of 7.5 billion people were not in a position today to turn around. You're going to have to learn, if this is something that you really want, that you've got to keep giving your gift, because who are you not to give it? Who are you to stop right now if you have a gift that you need to give the world? And that really stuck with me. And I say this all the time when people are coming to me and they've got this imposter syndrome, they're frightened of being invisible. Nobody goes into business because they don't want to help someone. People go into business because they have a product or a service that is helpful. Whether, like you're sharing, I love your message through your modeling that, we've got to look real in order to share ourselves with the world. You make it accessible to people like me to wear fashion, to actually wear fashion, and not just like hide ourselves under a tent, or, you know, actually go and seek couture and go and see what that's about, and see where's the space for me in that. I just think that, you know, when you have a product or a service that you want to give to the world, who are you not to give it? There are going to be so many people that are not going to be helped if you don't share what it is that you do. And that's, you know, when we talk about imposter syndrome and people not wanting to be visible or being scared, especially when they're considering speaking, that's the biggest bit of work that we have to do at the start.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. I still suffer with it now, particularly when I first started modelling. I really struggled with it. But even yesterday, I said to my husband, because I was talking about things I'd like to try and how I want to see the podcast grow and where, you know, my kind of aspirations. And I did turn around to him and say, but who am I? What can I say? You know, what's so different about me? And I heard myself say it and thought, well, why are you going to stop doing it and just not do it? And I was like, well, no, of course I'm not going to. You've got to just keep pushing yourself forward, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. And it's being uncomfortable. Like, in order to do anything, you've got to do anything, to achieve anything, you've got to get yourself really comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's like, if you are growing out of your shoes, or, you know, you've got to feel the pinch in order for you to go out and get yourself a new pair of shoes, you know. And it's if you're in a state of growth and growing is what you want to do, then you've got to feel that pinch. And when you feel that pinch, you know you're heading in the right direction. You've got to lean into it a little bit and go get yourself a new pair of shoes.
I mean, I love what your message is, and I've seen you on stage and you are amazing to watch, and you can't help but kind of come away feeling much more motivated about your own personal aspirations. How important has a mentor been for you, because you're such a good mentor to other people?
It's interesting that like, I seek out mentors. There is no successful person that I know that doesn't have some sort of mentor. Like, seeking out the people that have done the thing that you want to be doing is the most sane way, I think, of learning your craft. Like, learning from as many people who are in a successful position in the field that you want to be in is, I think, that just makes sense. My mentor, my first speaking mentor in the business world, Brad Burton, he's the UK's #1 motivational business speaker. He would say, I heard him say it a number of times, we almost locked horns when we first met. He said that you can't be a fat motivational speaker.
Oh, right.
And I was like, what? I am just the person you need in your life right now, Brad. Because I get what he was saying. So what he was saying was, if you are not motivated yourself, and his version of motivation from his place in the world was that, you know, you're motivated to look after yourself, in inverted commas, whatever that looks like, you know, go to the gym, or, you know, eat healthy or whatever. And I was like, my body is not an outward depiction of my value. My body is my body. Is the vessel in which I carry my expertise. What comes out of my mouth is the value. And like you said, people, when they hear me speak, there's precious few people that go away that don't feel motivated to do something. I don't have to motivate people to go to the gym. I'm like, do not come to me if you want to get motivated to come to the gym, because I'm not going to motivate you to do that. But what I might motivate you to do is make a choice or a decision with your life that is going to change it for the better. And I could be fat and do that at the same time. So I said that to him. He was like, he stood up. I was in this training room. He was like, you can't be a fat motivational speaker. And I was like, watch me. And he invited me onto his stage at Now What Live, which is one of his events. And he wrote the foreword in my book, and we have a great relationship.
Got it here, being a plug, just read it.
Closed mouths don't get fed is a Lizzo quote. And it was really the inspiration for it. It's only a little book. It's like a little book of speaking, a little book of sharing your message. But, you know, Brad and I could have fallen out in that exchange, but actually what we did is we learned from each other. And I was like, right, okay, well, he lit the blue touch paper for me. He's created a very lovely and benign monster now, because I'm like taking over the world. Because you can't tell me not to do something. You tell me I can't do something, and that just, like,
Yeah.
I'm a little rebellious sod, and I'm like, right, okay, well, I want to go and do the thing. And he's supporting the big festoon. He's coming on to be, one of the interviewees. Another of my mentors, Lisa Johnson. I needed to learn the business bit. I needed to learn, how am I going to make some money then? Because it's all right being an incredible speaker, a powerful speaker, but you need to know how to build your business around that, so that you do get asked to speak in more places, more prestigious places. I was coming from nowhere, and it's ill thought of me if I thought all of a sudden I'm going to get stages with the NHS or Costa Coffee or big commercial contracts. I'm going to have to build up a business to surround and support my speaking. So having a mentor in Lisa Johnson really allowed me to create, courses where I teach people, have a really great one-to-one offering, all of that sort of stuff. But she's done the thing that I want to be doing. She's earning, hundreds of thousands of pounds doing that thing. So I want to go and learn from her. And I think it's important as well, when you're thinking about mentors, that they come in all shapes and sizes and ages as well. Like, you can have a mentor that's older than you, a mentor that's younger than you. Like, my kids, are great mentors for me. They teach me a lot about patience for the most part. I didn't realize how patient I could be. But yeah, like, mentoring is so, and I go and seek them out now. I go and seek out mentors. I don't just wait for one to sort of benignly come across one. If there is something that I need to learn, I go out there and I find the person who's the best in the field that is willing to teach me.
I think that's the thing. I think lots of people are scared of contacting somebody just in case of that fear of rejection, I suppose. But actually, I found most people have, even if they've not been able to offer help immediately, they've put me in a new direction, or they've given me a word of wisdom, or they've not just kind of completely ignored me.
I think it's again, I always say I think it's interesting. So one of the ways that I approach mentors is, I often, when I'm building my tribe and I'm building the people that I want to learn from, I have to tell them we're going to be friends. So I was like, hey, we're going to be friends. You don't know this yet, but I'm so excited to be your friend. And they think I'm strange, and I'll send them a t-shirt, or, I'll send them my book, or I'll just say, look, I'm in awe of what you do. I think what you do is amazing. What I don't do is I don't go, have you got 5 minutes while I pick your brain, and expect people to just give me that. Because, people's expertise are really hard won. So often when I'm seeking out a mentor, what I'll do is, first of all, I have a laugh and a joke with them and say, look, I'd really want to gift you. So I want to send you a token of my appreciation. You've taught me so much already. I want to learn more from you. But then I find out if they have some sort of mentorship program, or if they have some sort of way of coaching that I have to pay for. And if it's expensive, then I have to save up to learn from that person. I have to invest in myself to learn from that person, because it's disrespectful to think that person is just going to give that to me for free. Or, for the most part, when you build relationships right, you can absorb information as well. So, it swings and roundabouts, but I would always strongly suggest investing in mentorship and coaching. If you're able, and if you're not able, then absorb the free value that lots of these mentors put out there.
I already know the answer to this one, because I know how passionate you are about what you're doing. But how ambitious are you for the future?
Just a little bit. So ambition can often be misread as it's like chasing after the ego, and it's not what it is with me. Don't get me wrong, the ego bit of me, the performer bit of me, I'd love to be on the telly and, do presenting work and all of that sort of stuff. That's really where I would like to be. But actually, the ambition, the bit that really fires me up, is that if I leave the world in a better place, even in just one corner of it, than when I found it, then I feel like my time here isn't wasted. So the ambition in me is really about spreading the word of the I Am the Queen Bee movement. It's about, allowing people access that maybe wouldn't have had before to the notion that they get to, if they show up and they wise up, they can rise up. That's, it's like, you guys can't see, but there's a banner behind me. It says, show up, wise up, rise up. My show in the morning, show up, wise up, rise up. It's all about trying to get people to understand that you do not have to always accept the hand that you've been dealt. You can pass your hand back and say, actually, no, deal me another hand, Mr. Croupier, Mr. Dealer, sort me out. You play the hand that you've been dealt, and play it as deftly as you can, but you get to choose. and you get to choose what you do. So as long as I pay my strengths forward all the time, that's what's fueling the ambition. And what I've found is, Rachel, that where money is concerned, I've met very rich and sad people, and met very, financially poor people who are very happy. So it is about chasing the money, but the more I chase what I love, the more I find the money comes to it anyway. It's crazy how that works.
You found that purpose, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a purpose has been so important.
Well, honestly, you're such an inspiration. I could talk to you for hours. Last 3 questions that I always ask my guests. So the first one, and this might be hard because I know how much you love music, but do you have a favourite song that always motivates you?
I properly do. Like, I don't even have to think about this one because I have it in my ears before I do any stage show. So have it before you go on stage, especially when you do something I do. It's important to like get the revs going, like have a really good BPM. And Macklemore, Can't Hold Us, is a surefire where I'm bouncing up and down before I go on stage, listening that the ceiling can't hold us. Like I'm here for that all day long.
I must admit, I play that. If I'm going to castings, I'll have certain songs, and that's one of my playlists for that.
Yes.
Brilliant.
That and Todrick, Nail, Hair, Hips, Heels is another really good one.
Oh, right. I don't know that one. I'm going to have to look that one up.
I'm going to send you a link to it. You'll love it.
And what about a book that's inspired you? Because I know you read a lot.
I do read lots, and that was part of my saving grace when I was coming through that really, really tough time. Was particularly listening to audiobooks. I got 3, so I'll do them really quick. So one, around money mindset and business growth. I think Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, is the foundation on which most businesses are built. If you read that, you've pretty much got a blueprint for creating success. The second one is Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass. Like, it was like she was sent to me by the gods when I came across her book. It's just such a wonderful book. And the third one, I can't believe I get to interview this guy as part of the Big Festoon, Dan Meredith's How to Be Fucking Awesome, is just a phenomenal. It's like having a big brother who's just giving you no bullshit. He's like just got his arm around you and he's giving you a right good talking to. And sometimes I need that. So it's a really, really great book to read.
Brilliant. And what about who inspires you?
That's more tough. That's tougher than the music one. Like, I find inspiration in the weirdest of places. So anybody who is actively attempting to pay their strengths forward as opposed to their adversities is somebody who inspires me. So if I think about like people like you, Rachel, you inspire me. But my sister inspires me, my mum inspires me, but God, my kids inspire me. If I think about people who have done bad things and then are trying to turn things around, they inspire me. I think about my dad, and my dad who, was a victim of his own circumstances growing up, and he did the best that he knew how to with the information he had at the time. And they didn't talk about men's mental health back then. They didn't talk about, he's self-medicated, and so much so, like, he had an accident. We didn't speak for years, and he had an accident 4 years ago, and he has an acquired brain injury now, and we care for him now. And he inspires me with his tenacity still. So I find inspiration in the strangest of places, and I think a lot of it comes from gratitude. Like, I'm just so grateful that people give me the time of day. Like, I'm just inspired all around. I'm like walking around like a big ball of gratitude.
Well, you inspire me hugely, so keep doing what you're doing. I love the work that you're doing, and I'm really looking forward to the 5th of June. I'm going to go and check it out now and see the timetable. So
you've got to.
So much, Dani. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's imthequeenbee.co.uk/the Big Festoon. Rachel, you are amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So if you'd like to know more about Dani and all the fabulous work she's doing, please go visit her website, imthequeenbee.co.uk. You can also find her on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and her YouTube channel, and that's The Queen Bee Dani. I'll be back next week. In the meantime, keep being fabulous.